one of the things that we hear so often is I would love to start that, but the IRS is they're gonna look at me, they're gonna see me, I'm gonna mess it up, and that's gonna cause an audit, right? There's a lot of fear, especially around the tax end of it, that let alone the fear of just opening a business in the first place, right? But of like doing something wrong.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Shauna. Shauna, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am totally excited to have you here. One, because you have puppies, not one, 5 of them. And you're a tax goddess, which I also love. So, you're talking my love languages. So give everybody the highlights of who you are and what you do for business.
Absolutely. So Shauna, the tax goddess, and everybody wants to know the last name. I don't even bother. You need me, you look up tax goddess, super easy to find. So I am what's called a tax strategist. So a little bit different than a traditional CPA. So your CPA takes the information you give them, prepares a tax return. A tax strategist, my job is to work with you during the year so that before December 31st, we've implemented, tweaked, changed, made all the modifications to lower your net profit before you give those numbers to the CPA. So the tax bill's big when we're done. So,
Yahoo!
Yes.
I am going to advocate you over and over and over. Again, I cannot tell you, the bane of my existence is when people take their taxes to somebody and they go, oh, you can't write this off. And they go, oh, okay. And it's like, okay, your annual board meeting, you can write off.
Like, absolutely. Ordinary, necessary, and reasonable all day, 100%.
Right? Yes. So talk to me about kind of how you do what you do for somebody that doesn't understand the differences. And then I will pick your brain. We'll get into all of the fun stuff.
Love it. So really, I think the easiest way to think about it is kind of like a chessboard. So every single person has a different set of pieces. So some people are married, some people have kids, some people have fuzzy fur-legged kids, some people have a business, some have real estate, some are closer to retirement, some are just getting started, right? So everybody's chessboard is a little bit different, but the rules are the same. You can do this, you can do that. Like, here's the black and white. The IRS, in most cases, there are definitely some gray areas, but in most cases, the rules are pretty black and white. And so really what our job to do is, what is your goal, specifically your goal, right? So if you are close to retirement, do you want to put away 100,000, 500,000, $1 million? What does that look like? And once we know what your goals are, so you want to buy that boat, you want to retire, you want to pay for kids' college, whatever those goals are, we use the chess pieces that you have in play for you. And of course, we know all the rules, right? And we tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, to be able to reach whatever the goal is. Of course, the whole time reducing the tax burden. So.
Brilliant. So let's back up the bus a little bit. How did you get into tax? It says as your thing.
Absolutely.
Because it was so fascinating.
You're sweet. Well, I was going to say, very long story short, it actually started in astrophysics, not anywhere near tax, right? Very long story short. So it started in astrophysics, got to the end of my freshman year in college, okay? And my mom, who is my goddess, okay? And side note, if you ever want to read the full story, you can check it out in the book, 6% Life. But my mom, who is my goddess, I was sitting summer break, right? Sitting at the kitchen table with her. And my mom is German, very stoic, very, doesn't really, not a lot of emotive kinds of things, okay? She does one of the, she's opening the mail. She just puts it down, pushes back from the table. And I'm like, what's going on? What happened? She doesn't do that. What's going on? I just got a notice from the IRS and they want more money and this is ridiculous. And I've had discussions with the CPA and with the tax attorney and they tell me there's nothing else you can do, nothing else to write off. And this is just it's so frustrating being a business owner, right? And of course, being her daughter, like, well, I'm kind of smart, right? Astrophysics, I'm good with numbers. We can sort this out. There's got to be something, right? Because Trump's paying 2%, right? There has to be something that can be done here. So long story short, go back to college, change astrophysics to the hobby, switch to accounting and finance, get to my senior year, start to specialize in tax. And then long story short, that's where the alphabet of letters comes in after my name. So got the CPA, got the master's in tax, got the certified tax coach, which those people specialize in tax strategy. So out of 660,000 CPAs, there's only 607 that specialize in tax strategy. Then you get CTS, which is the top 15 of those people, and they rank us. And they refuse to tell us who's number one, but they'll tell us who's in the top 3. And I'm pretty sure you know, but I'm not allowed to say. So there you go. But yeah, so long story short, all of this was to be able to help my mom, be able to help her reduce her taxes. And that's really where the 6% Life, where the title of the book came from, is at this point now, of course, helping her and thousands of clients at this point. Our average tax rate for our clients is 6.92%. And we're talking, they make millions of dollars. Exactly. Right. So I was able to take those skills. My mom is a little bit lower than 6.92%, a little bit. But yeah, be able to take all of those skills and strategies and apply them to business owners. That's, at this point, astrophysics was my love, and now tax is my love. It's very exciting. So
awesome. Yes. Well, and I hope you don't just specialize in physicists as a business. Going,
no,
the rest of us too.
Everybody else. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing, of course, there's a couple of areas we don't specialize in. Nonprofits don't need us. They don't pay tax in the first place, right? Those kinds of things. But generally, if you're a business owner, and it's any business owner. So for example, if you own rental real estate, you are in fact a business owner, right? Mm-hmm. If you own a brick and mortar store, if you do Etsy and you're doing sales on Etsy, if you're an Uber driver, you have a business, right? And I think that's what a lot of people miss or misunderstand, is that even if your primary job is a W-2 and you have a side gig of doing the Uber or Lyft or something on the weekends, that's a business. You have massive opportunity for write-offs, even with just a side gig. So there's some really cool things that can be done when you are a business owner of any kind. So.
Yes, I am back in my early days of business coaching, would often tell people, if you don't have a side hustle, either one, go to your visa and figure out where you're spending the most amount of money and figure out a business that you yourself around that and have the write-offs for it. Or two, figure out what you absolutely love to do and talk about all day long and would do it for free, even if you and start a business doing it. The visa is the best plan.
I was going to say, I'm like, I've never heard anybody phrase that way. Can I steal that? Because
absolutely. Absolutely. If more people started their business understanding profitability and expenses before they went, oh, I'm good at this, I think I'll do a business in this. Like, we can incorporate that. We'll incorporate that. Trust me, that's the back end though.
I love it. No, it's such a great idea. And you're right, because people they don't think about it that way. For many, many, many people, you get out of college, you get a W-2, which in my world is like a 4-letter word, ooh, W-2. But yeah, they never think about, where am I spending the money to scratch my own itch? What can I do? So brilliant. Love it.
Right. Well, and so many people, like, let's just talk about this for a half second. We'll get into the kind of what I'm going to call like the $2 to $10 million businesses, because I think they struggle the most with figuring out how to wrap their head around this thing. But startups, when somebody's starting up and they're going, hey, I think I want to do this, the reason that I start with your visa and where you're spending the money is because so many people will, when they look at their visas over the span of a year, will start to notice, hey, I spent an extraordinary amount on X. Whatever X is. It could be their dogs. It could be the toys. It's like, okay, great. So let's start there. And how do we implement something, anything that can allow you to write that aspect off? And if you decide, and you learn a lot in business, because, walking dogs or getting your kids to walk the dogs so that you can write off the treats for the dog.
Yeah. And of course, write off the kids. And
yeah, exactly.
Double hitter there. I love it.
You the business acumen side of things, which people don't understand and they're afraid of. And it's like, really, to me, it comes down to you market, you sell, and you have fulfillment. That's it. You
Yep.
own a lemonade stand. You have a sign says lemonade 25 cents. You
Market.
have some
Yep.
lemonade and you charge 25 cents for it. So the sign, the collecting of the 25 cents, the giving of the lemonade, that's your business.
Done.
And you can understand it from there. So
Love it.
anything you want to add for the people that are thinking of their side hustle and going, I don't get it. Why would I do that?
I think the biggest thing that I would add is, well, as you're saying, it can be very simple. Don't be afraid to mess up. One of the things that we hear so often is, I would love to start that, but the IRS is they're gonna look at me, they're gonna see me, I'm gonna mess it up, and that's gonna cause an audit, right? There's a lot of fear, especially around the tax end of it, that let alone the fear of just opening a business in the first place, right? But of like doing something wrong. A couple of pieces to kind of quell that fear here. Firstly, about 9 months ago, the IRS released a statement saying if you're not making at least $1 million, we don't even have the bandwidth to look at you, like at all.
Nice.
Right. So now,
Yeah.
side note, that's not for the bad actors out there. Don't be doing bad things, because they look at those. Okay.
No,
but
look at
like,
that.
yeah, for the baby business owner, if you write off that, iPhone, and you're like, should I not write off the phone? Right. It's okay. Okay. So it's okay to make a mistake. If a mistake happens, yes, CPA, you may get audited if it's big enough or whatever, but the government isn't out there to throw people in jail. I've had multiple people tell me, is the SWAT going to come? Like, are they going to like knock down my door? I mean, like that level of scared. The IRS doesn't have resources to do that.
Too many movies, people.
You're safe. You're totally safe. Okay. But I think the biggest thing, be honest, be upright, do the things, ask the questions is probably the most important thing. Ask your CPA, ask Google, ask ChatGPT. Okay. Now don't take them with a grain of salt, right? They're not perfect.
But start somewhere.
But can they at least kind of get you along the path of like, well, what would happen if, and how could this cell phone be a write-off? What do I need to be tracking? Those kinds of things. I think fear is one of the biggest hard stop lines for a lot of people. And the benefits of the world is you can ask questions all over the place. So,
and I would suggest if you're starting that and you're taking your $10,000 worth of dog toys and writing them off for $25 worth of dog walking, that you take your tax write-offs and put them into a fund that makes you money and save it for a year. Because if they do audit you and they go, well, we'll let you take half of that and you owe taxes on the other half, then you at least have the capital to be able to put it in. And to your point, nobody should throw you in jail because you wrote off your cell phone.
You're good.
That's not fraud.
No.
Silly mistakes, not fraud. Okay, so let's transition into kind of the bigger kids on the block that are putting together what I love to call Frankenware. It's like, I got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I put it together, trying to breathe there, hope and prayer that it comes to life and we're profitable again. Yep. You know who I'm talking about. So talk to me about them and kind of what some of the biggest mistakes are that you see them making and how they can avoid them.
Absolutely. Well, the biggest mistake that comes to mind almost immediately is honestly following TikTok advice. I'm going to call it TikTok advice. Okay. So TikTok is infamous for having 30-second, 1 minute, 3-minute videos, right? And you'll get the guru on there saying, you can write off your kids and you can pay them $100,000 a year, and that's a tax deduction. I'm not arguing that it's not a tax deduction. What I am discussing is that, yeah, you can do that, but there's about 25 steps in order to do that properly. So be very cautious when you are ChatGPT and Google and these kinds of things. Make sure that you're looking and reading and listening to CPAs. Do they have titles? Are they CPAs? Are they financial advisors? What kind of background and education do they have? And ask, again, back to asking questions. Make sure you're asking them questions. Yeah, that's great. $100,000 for my kids. So how? Like, how do I do that? Because there are so many basic, we call them low-hanging fruit, right? So something like paying your kids, right? This year, for example, 2023, the current limit is $13,850 that you can pay a child, age of 7 or higher, okay, that you can pay a child, and there's zero tax on that, none, okay, which is great. And it's a fantastic piece of advice. Places where people mess up. They give the kid a 1099 instead of a W-2. Now your kid has a business. Okay. They write the check, but they never run it through actual payroll, right? There's payroll forms, 940s, 941s. You have to give a W-2 at the end of the, I mean, there's stuff that has to be done. They are paying the kid out of an S corporation instead of out of a Schedule C, which means that you have to pay FICA and Medicare. Okay, so there's all these little, I call them traps, right? That are, you know, you're doing the strategy and the strategy is valid, but if you don't have those proper steps, it can really cause problems for you. So I think those are kind of maybe the biggest things, the biggest issues that we see.
Absolutely. And as a marketer, people, when you're watching those 30-second TikTok videos, they really want you to go back to the whole, the long form and listen to the whole story.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Yes.
I mean, if all you did was listen to 30-second tax advice and then go to Shauna and go, okay, so here's my list of questions.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
and I love that. I mean, this is one of the things, when you look for that education, you're right. You can go to the long form. Okay. There's almost like levels of education, right? There's that TikTok video, the 10-minute YouTube video. For example, Tax Goddess, we actually have a group coaching model that is specifically about tax strategies, right?
Nice.
So
Talk
if
to
you
me
want
about that. What did they learn and how does that work?
Love it. So it's called the 6% Life Group, specifically for tax strategies, and it's specifically meant for small to medium-sized businesses, kind of starting out. I'd say under that $10 million range is probably right. And we cover a specific strategy every single week. So, for example, the strategy we just covered last week was the research and development tax credits. A lot of business owners don't even know that they qualify because they're thinking, oh, well, I have to be Pfizer, the drug company with millions of expenses. No, you can be the little guy and it's 25,000 of expenses and you just reduced your tax bill by $7,000 just because you wrote out your expenses. There's some really cool things. And so within the group, we have a whole back office. It's called Tax Goddess University. There's a whole back office where you can ask questions. Our team in the background, we've got 93 people on staff at Tax Goddess in 17 different countries. So our entire team handles the back office, the front office, videos. We do live Q&A. And so, you know, really when you're looking for that education, it can go from the TikTok to the YouTube to actual classes all the way up to custom design tax plans using your chess pieces, right? So those are typically for bigger businesses, you know, people taking home about $1 million a year. So it can really range depending on what it is that you need for your situation. So,
well, absolutely. And I think that people don't realize as well as they're growing their businesses and innocently enough, you start learning about business. You go, oh, okay, so this worked when I had, you know, $40,000 of income. And you don't realize that the rules of the game change when you have 100,000 or when you have a million. Yeah. And it's so important to me to connect and